The My Work section will roll up a user's tasks from across the entire platform. As you can tell, we have many different solutions that may be managing multiple different processes, and a user might be getting assigned tasks across different solutions. And so instead of trying to flip through and find all the stuff that they're assigned to, anything that they're assigned to, and we'll talk about there's a specific way to ensure that a task will show up in the My Work section, because not everything that you're assigned to will show up here. SmartSuite is smart to understand what is a task and what is a data piece. And anything that is a task will show up in the My Work section, and users can click in and see the full record and start working on it. The last piece of
Avi,
yep.
I have a question about that. So
Sure.
say I wanted to create a task for myself. Am I able to do this in My Work?
Excellent question. Not only will SmartSuite roll up tasks from across different solutions that were assigned to you and break them down by the different due dates, etc., you can also create your own personal list of tasks, give it a title, give it a description, and assign a due date and a priority. And optionally, you can link it to a solution, but this means that really the task lives within the My Work section versus living within a solution. And so yes, a user can have personal tasks, or a user can even assign personal tasks to another team member that are not necessarily tied to a solution or an app, which is very helpful at times. Thank you for that question. Next, the last piece over here I'm just going to show is the notifications. And so as you can see, all your notifications, or specifically your unread notifications, anywhere you were mentioned or assigned, so you can filter through. But this is basically where you would check in and be able to see where people might need you across the different workflows and solutions across the entire platform. And similar to in the My Work section, you can just click into a notification and it would take you right into, if the notification is related to a specific record, you can click into it and it would take you directly to that record. You can obviously control your settings around notifications, etc. There's a lot more personal information or settings that you might want to check out over here. Personal settings, workspace settings if you're an admin. At this point, we're not going to get into it too much. Obviously, also feel free to always check out these resources. On the left side of the page, you can see the upcoming webinars at any given time. We have mobile apps, iOS and Android, and then you can always reach the template gallery from the side. We have our academy coming out in about a month. Plus, our community is very active. You can learn from other users in other industries what they might be doing or creative ways they're configuring the platform, or kind of crowdsource different ideas of how to use the platform or how to configure or best practices. In here, you can obviously message us. Our team is very responsive, as you can tell, under 10 minutes, and we're always working to improve that. Search for help articles that will show up literally within the platform. Very detailed help articles on every specific topic, and they're just done incredibly well with GIFs and all that. So super detailed. And
we have a few questions coming in. First question being, can we have a chat with other team members at a solution level or at an app level?
That's an excellent question. Currently, the only way to have a chat with a team member is on a record level. And so we're going to get into that a little bit later, but I'll just show you a sneak peek. On a record level, there's always a commenting feature where you can comment on the record. If it's general information, you can grab someone's attention and tag them so that it shows up in their notifications, or you can even assign the comment and then they have to mark it as resolved because they know it's to do. Team members can reply or add new comments. Again, you can tag specific people, etc. On a app or a solution level is currently not available. What I would recommend is you can technically always have a record and title it communication and make that the general communication for this solution or app. In general, people really like the communication on the record level since it is much more structured to the specific case that we're looking for. Any other questions?
And one more thing to note, the solution guide is a really great way of communicating with your team what the solution offers. So if Avi, do you want to go into a solution guide? So this is a way of communicating with your team what the purpose of this solution is. And solution managers can control the access to their solution. And this is a really good way of helping the team understand the particular workflow or project and how to use it in SmartSuite.
Excellent. That's a great point. There's the solution guide. And one more thing, once we're on this topic, is on every custom field that you set up within the platform, there's help text to also describe to anyone else using this custom field what this is meant for. And there's basically, we left you areas within every section in the platform to leave information, because we understand that there may be specific persons setting up the solution, and then other people might be coming along and using it, and you want to communicate specific information to them so that they know how to use it.
Okay, so two more questions. One, we're being asked, what is the backend database if they have saved data on their customers and which projects they've purchased for the company? Can I download the information of the selected data fields?
Absolutely. And so in every area, we have an import function as well as an export function. And so when you export, you get to choose what you want to export and what version you want to export this, but you can easily export or print any information out of any specific app or any specific view. And so this view might print a different view or different app, and you can select what fields you'd like to print or export.
Great. And then another question I have is, which I can talk about as well, is how can I share information with the external clients, and do users read or write access need to be paying users? So we are looking to improve this client portal right now. As far as now, what we offer is the ability to use shared view in grid view. And what this does, it populates a link that any user, regardless if they use a Smart Suite account, have a Smart Suite account or not, can view this data. They can't edit it, they can't go into the record, but they can see the data for themselves. And as you update this data, it will be updated in real time. So you don't have to worry about sending them new links. It'll always be up to date. You can also share information if it's a paying user, you can share information at all the different levels. And we are looking to make the client portal more expanded as a feature in Smart Suite. So that's something that is on our product roadmap right now. Do we support integration to Ofer and Stacker?
And so I'll take that one. Excellent questions. We are currently in discussions with software and to add Smart Suite as a data source. In terms of Stacker, I believe we're on their product roadmap, but if anyone here is a user of software or Stacker and would like to go upvote us on their public roadmaps, I'm sure that will happen much quicker. On our end, we're totally ready for such an integration. The challenges with software and Stacker both, those softwares really control who is added as a data source. And we're currently in, like I said, in discussions with software and hopefully with Stacker soon. That being said, just like Emma said, we are actually working on our own internal portal functionality. And as you can tell over here, there is going to be record level permissions, edit record level permissions, which is not yet available, but is coming in about 2 releases from now. And so with record level permissions, that should give you the ability to add clients or guests who can be added to your workspace and see specific records that you let them see based on the assignee field or some other field. And then within that record, you can still have record level permissions of who can see or edit specific custom field types. And so imagine you'd have a deliverables project within Smart Suite, and you'd be able to control and say the client, anyone with a client role can only see the record that's assigned to them with the attachment field, and any internal employee can see the rest of the custom fields. And I guess the short answer is we're looking in twofold. We're going to add ourselves as data sources to these external portals with software and Stacker, but what's probably coming sooner is the record level.
The field level permission is in beta testing, and it will be available in 3 weeks. And we have another question about integration with ClickUp, because this user likes the whiteboard feature. Do we have a whiteboard functionality? I know Avi's very knowledgeable on ClickUp, so he's the right person for this question.
So in terms of whiteboard, we don't have that functionality yet. What we're looking at as a starting point would be to add the ability to embed whiteboards in our reports and have those as if I set up a new report, the ability to embed those in a dashboard. That should be coming out shortly. And then we're entertaining the idea of whiteboards, but we'd love to hear more feedback about it. And I believe it's entered on our public product roadmap already. So any additional context and votes will definitely push us towards creating that. I see we have one more quick question going back to the solution guides. in the
Yeah,
use?
so we actually have a great help article discussing what solution guides are, what the purpose are, and let me just tell you the brief overview. It just again helps you understand the purpose and the workflow, and it's custom to each template. So all of our templates have pre-documented solution guides, and it serves as a starting point for the owner of the solution to develop this comprehensive guide of how to use the solution. And you can add your customized one with instructional content. You can add videos. So if you have new employees that are being onboarded, you can use this as a resource to document everything.
Okay, excellent. Let me get back to where we were holding on the homepage. Emma, thank you for this. Please let me know if any other questions come up. And we obviously had we were holding with the solutions on the side over here. And then I was just finishing up to show in our intercom, we have our area to add feature requests or look through and upvote the different feature requests that are already entered. We watch these and monitor these constantly throughout the day. And we're constantly prioritizing and adding to our roadmap based on this. And we'd love to hear your feedback. For sure, if you can drop in there some Loom videos explaining your use case or the feature you're interested in, etc. And then obviously you can view it on a separate web page, etc. Diving into the specific structure of SmartSuite and how to actually use it. And as we spoke about, these are solutions, and obviously these can be renamed. You can reach the settings over here, and you can duplicate, import, set the permissions level on a solution level, but I'm going to jump into a solution. I'm actually going to choose agency marketing because I love this solution. Within agency marketing, as we can tell, we have over here 7 different apps. Now, apps within a solution are basically different lists or different specific processes. And so in this particular solution template, we have client projects, which is basically a list of all the projects. And then we have production tasks, which is basically a running list of all the tasks that we have throughout the agency. There's a list of work requests that have not turned into tasks yet, but they came in from the client and we have to dissect them into tasks and assign them. And then we have a list of our clients. And as you can tell over here, there's different views for the client, and we'll touch about that in a moment. And then we have our contacts, which is also a list of all of our contacts. And
so Avi,
yep.
As far as views, we have a question about exporting data within SmartSuite to a template. And I guess this really depends on the view. So if it's a card view, you're going to export the data. It's going to look exactly like it is in SmartSuite. If it's a grid view, you may want to do a CSV file or Excel file. And does that answer your question, Christopher?
Okay, I'm going to continue in the meantime. But
okay,
in terms of downloading into a specific template, some people want to actually specify the particular type of template that they want to download into a specific view of information. And so that is functionality that we are working on. I don't have an exact release date for that, but that's on the roadmap. Currently, basically, it's going to export the full view and you can play around with it a little bit once it's exported. But getting back over here, so within lists, the way it works is you can set up within each list a set of custom fields for the specific information that you're tracking. And for example, in my list of clients, I have my list of clients over here, and these are all custom fields, right? So I can track what industry they are. And in industry, I want to set up a single select, which is what we call them. It's basically a list of options, and you can choose the single select or switch it around. In similarly size, right? So you can basically set up all sorts of custom fields. You can come in here and add as many custom fields as you'd like, and they're all data validated. And so we have a range of different custom fields, from currency, where you get to choose the exact currency that you're inputting, to email, full name, which will actually make sure you're adding a full name as in like first name and last name and title, phone number, percentage, time, single select, multiple select, dates. We have different text fields or smart docs, which actually allow you to put text with formatting. Yes and no.
Avi, is there a button field?
So the button field is, right now we have a yes or no, which can be switched to any type of toggle or button. So this would be a button field. We are adding another field type, which is currently in production, which is currently in development, which is going to be a little bit a similar concept, but it's a button that would actually trigger automation by nature, versus this, you would have to actually go into automations and set up the automation that when X condition is met. But right now we do have these types of buttons. And this brings me to another point. Note that anytime you're setting up a custom field, you have controls over the display format. And as an example over here, you have a whole list of formats that you can display this custom field. Similar thing over here when you're displaying linked records, which we'll talk about in a moment, you can display it in different ways. When you're displaying active tasks, like you have all these different ways which you can control. When you're doing status, you can set a default. And so more than just the display, we actually give you a lot of settings around each custom field. You can control the colors over there. You can set a default, right? So when you're adding a yes, no button, you can say default should always be no, unless I set it to yes. And so that will ensure that anytime you add a new record, there's a default by nature. And so we have defaults on the status field, etc. And so this is really a key feature many people like. Just when you have a chance, you can rock through. We have signatures, etc. And so typically what I would do is I'd come in here and I'd say, okay, what kind of information would I want to track about my clients? And I'd set those all up as custom fields. And then at that point, I can start setting up different views. And so sometimes I want to look at my clients by type, right? What industry are they in? Sometimes I want to look at my clients by location. I want to see a map view with pins. And so if I'm tracking the client's address, I can come in here and set up a view. The way to set up a view is very simple. You just click into the views and you'd add a view. And so let's set up a view together. I'm going to have clients, all clients, right? So I just want a master list of all clients. And so I choose if it's a public view or private view. Public view means the rest of my users can see it versus a private view. Now, over here, I get to choose what kind of view do I want. Do I want a grid view, which is basically almost like a spreadsheet? Do I want a card view? Do I want a Kanban view, a calendar view? I think I'm going to go with a grid view. Now, notice by default, only one field is selected, but that's strange because I had a whole bunch of fields over here that I was tracking. And so the truth is, or over here, we had all these fields. And so the truth is that they're all in here, but you have to choose what you want to display in a particular saved view. And so over here, I have all my all of my already set custom fields. And now I just get to say, what do I want to display in this view? And so let's say over here, I want to see the location. I want to see the industry. I want to see first created, like when was this record first created, or when did this client first contact me, basically. I want to see maybe the logo. And so all you got to do is
Hey,
add.
Avi.
Yep.
I have a question. So we're getting some questions about whether we can create many-to-many relationships and lists or database tables. And are these relationships viewable in both directions?
Excellent question. I guess I'll dive into the linked records custom field. And so perfect place to do it from clients. I'd like to set up linked records and say, I want to set up linked records to other areas within my platform. And we'd set up a custom field called linked record. And to demonstrate a little bit of the functionality with linked records, I'd like to show you. So first you get to choose the display format. But when you set up, so you can say when you're linking to another record, what other information would you want to see and how should we display it from that other linked record? I have this expanded view and I'll show you in a moment why. But then you get to choose, well, you're in clients right now. So where would you want to link to? So by default, you're linking within the same app, but then you can search in this dropdown. And in SmartSuite, we're actually unique from any other platform where we allow you to link across any app or across any solution. So anywhere across your entire workspace, I can now search for any other app across my entire workspace and link. The link is bi-directional. And so as soon as you set up the link on this end, the link will also show up on that end. Now, it won't necessarily show up in like your grid view unless you actually choose to display it, but it will show up. It's there on the record level and you can immediately see it. And so just to demonstrate it, I'm going to search for agency marketing. I'm going to link to production tasks, which is another app within this solution, but it works exactly the same way if you're linking to any app across the entire workspace in a different solution. I'm going to name this linked record and I'm going to say, we're going to test this. So I'm going to call it test link to tasks. Now, over here, you get to choose if you want to allow linking to multiple records or not. You can uncheck this box and you can require an entry to this field, which is actually a feature across most of our custom fields in the platform. You can choose if you should require. Now we have this area over here, advanced setting, and I'd like to really demonstrate this because this is key piece of information. First of all, you get to display what fields, when you're linking a record, what fields should we display from that linked record? Because the idea of linking a record is that you shouldn't have to necessarily jump through all the records, but if you want to see information on this within your contacts app related to your tasks, you get to choose. So I'm going to say I want to see about my tasks, the assigned to field, the status, the due date, the internal viewer. Let me add the deliverables in here as well, and you can reorder them. And let me see the time tracking. I want to see the time tracking. I'm actually going to reorder it. So now, whenever I link a record, I'm going to be able to see all this information. Okay. Now you can,
Hey, Avi,
let me
can
just,
you, okay, go ahead.
you can sort for when you're looking for a linked record. And then the key is also filter. And so let's say I only want to make sure that I'm linking from clients to tasks that are currently still in the open status and not linking to tasks that were already closed out. And so you can search based on, you can filter the ability to link based on any custom field within the records that you're linking to. And you can set up a filter that says, okay, I'm going to set up a filter that says, allow me to link to anything that has the following statuses. But if the client approved already, don't let me link to it, assuming it's already linked. I can save that, add the field, and then anytime I can come in here and easily add links. Because I allowed too many, I can add multiple links. I can link these two records very quickly. I can also create new records in the tasks. Even though I'm in my client solution, I'm creating a record called test, and I'm going to go ahead and fill out a few pieces of information, and I'm going to go save it, and it gets linked automatically, and I can click in and see my tasks. And so back over here, I link to tasks. I'm in clients and I link to tasks, which are here. I can still view, click in and see the information. Now, if I'm on a record view within client, I get to see the section where I'm linking to tasks. Okay, so here are, let's see here, test link to tasks. This is the field that we're dealing with. And so note how I'm seeing the key information. And then again, I can click into it and it pulls up the production tasks. I can add links from here. I can expand my view. And so that is a quick brief on how our linked records work. I'm sure there's been tons of questions, Emma, or any questions you want?
Yes, we do have a question about dynamically filtering a linked record based on another linked record selection.
Absolutely. And so in filters, as long as you have any type of linked record set up, you can not only filter, but you can also group. And so when you get your drop down to start filtering, now I can start filtering and saying is not empty, right? Let's say is not empty. And so now I'm going to say only show records that have a linkage in them, or you can set up any type of filter, and you can set up multiple filters, obviously, based on any linked record. You can also group. And so I can say group based on linked record tasks, A to Z. And so it's showing me all the ones that are not linked first, and then the ones that are linked first based on alphabet. So you can definitely use linked records becomes a full-blown custom field, which you can use it then to set up different views, sortings, groupings, spotlight, filters.
So we're wanting to know if we can filter to show only related contacts to an organization, which is true. You can do this.
Is that in the advanced setting? What's the question again? Can you repeat?
So can I filter to show only related contacts to an organization when I link to an organization on a project?
You would have to set up some sort of field that would tell you what is considered related contacts, right? So you can set up filters when you're linking. So in the example before, I showed only allow linking to open tasks. Or as long as you can filter by any custom field here. So as long as you set up a custom field that would tell you this was related, you'd be able to set up a filter. And then when you're choosing custom what to link to, those that you filtered out won't even show up. Does that make sense? Okay. If there isn't any other...
feel free to send us a follow-up question if you need clarification.
Okay, excellent.
Can we group filters?
can you group filters? What does that mean?
Yes, if you have a filter and you want to group that data, you can have two of those at once, if that's what you mean. Yeah, so you can have both of those at once.
But you can apply a filter at the same, or multiple filters, and then also apply groupings on top of that. And so these all work on top of each other. So I can set up a filter that says, only show me status is any of, and I'm going to select paused and active, and we're going to leave out inactive. I can then go ahead and set up another filter and choose if I'm doing and or. I'm going to choose and. We're going to say industry is any of, and we're going to select apparel, software, food service, food delivery, and tech green. We're going to leave out customer products. So I can set up as many filters as I want. So I have two filters applied, one on top of another. I can then come in and say group by industry, or group by key contacts, or group by, let's group by projects. Projects is going to be one per customer. So let's group by yes or no. So I'm going to group all the ones that are yes here and all the ones that are no. I can set up another grouping on top of this. So you can set up a group within a group. So I can set up group yes or no. And then within that, I can set up status grouping, or I can set up a industry grouping. Let's do an industry grouping. There we go. And you can set up as many groupings as you want. On top of that, you can set up a spotlight, right? So you can go on and on